I am a conservative, and I love telling people that I love conservative solutions. And I've sat with Meg Whitman as we've gone through the various areas of California policy, and I can tell you that she's going to be the one to create jobs. She's going to be the one to instill fiscal prudence in Sacramento. She's the only one that can get it done. I've seen it up close and personal. That's why I'm endorsing her for governor, and that's why it's my privilege to introduce to you right now, Meg Whitman. Thank you.
I'm delighted to be here with the California Republican Assembly, and I'm honored to stand here with so many proud conservatives. And in addition to Bill, I'm honored to be endorsed by strong conservatives like Governor Mitt Romney, Congressman Ed Royce, who is here today, Congressman Darrell Issa over there to my right, Congressman John Campbell, former Assemblywoman Sharon Runner, and State Senator Tony Strickland, all great conservatives among many others who have endorsed me. I also want to introduce my husband of nearly 30 years, who's here with me today. Griff, can you just stand up? As you know, you don't undertake these kinds of runs for public office without the support of your family, and Griff has been a stalwart supporter by my side every single moment, so thank you for that, hon. You know, at a time when Sacramento's answer to every problem is higher taxes and more wasteful spending, conservative values are exactly what we need to restore California's greatness. As Republicans, we know where we stand, and we know where we need to go. But to get California back on track, we have to pull together to defeat Jerry Brown and his liberal allies. Jerry has a, thank you. Jerry has a 40-year record of raising taxes and increasing spending. And he's been a failed governor, a failed mayor, and a failed attorney general. And he will fail California again unless we stop him in November. We're allies in this fight to save our state. You will not find a tougher fiscal conservative in this race than me. For 30 years in business, I was successful because I stuck to conservative principles. At eBay, I grew a startup from 30 employees into a Fortune 500 company with nearly $8 billion in revenue and 15,000 employees. I know how to balance budgets and create jobs, and I know how to use technology to do more with less. The next governor has to make some tough decisions. I have the courage and experience to do this job. I am the only candidate in the race who will stand up to the public employee unions. I am committed to reducing the state workforce by 40,000 workers to levels we saw in 2004-2005. I will take on the $60 billion crisis in state worker pensions. I will reform welfare to ensure that it is a temporary hand-up and not a way of life. And I will downsize the education bureaucracy in Sacramento, increasing local control of our schools and sending more money directly to the classroom. Now, I will take on these big reforms, and I won't take no for an answer when the Sacramento establishment pushes back hard. On taxes, I have a strategic plan that will spark immediate job creation. It starts with eliminating the capital gains tax. And it includes tax cuts to help manufacturers, small businesses, and entrepreneurs grow and create jobs. After we simultaneously cut government spending and balance the state budget, we will invest in across-the-board tax cuts for every Californian. The Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association spent a year examining Steve's record and mine. In their endorsement of me, they said I am the only candidate in the race that Howard Jarvis himself would have trusted to protect Prop 13. I am honored to have their endorsement, and I would be honored to have your help as we fight together to cut taxes and break Sacramento's grip on our economy. The next governor of California faces other tough issues, including illegal immigration. Let me be clear. I am 100% opposed to amnesty. No exceptions. Immigration is a federal issue, but there are things the next governor of California must do. We are always going to have a problem with illegal immigration as long as there is demand for undocumented labor. That's why I support building an economic fence, a tough e-verification program that holds employers accountable for hiring only documented workers. I'm going to crack down on sanctuary cities like San Francisco, which blatantly flaunt our immigration laws. And when I'm governor, we have to stop the in-state tuition break for illegal immigrants. But the real key for Washington is to finally get serious about stopping illegal immigration where it happens, and that is the border. We must secure the border of the United States of America. Now, I've spent time on the border between California and Mexico, and I can tell you firsthand the feds have not done what is required to secure the border. And we're going to have to fix that. And then last but not least, I'm going to pressure Nancy Pelosi to use the purse strings that she controls to reimburse California for the costs of incarcerating illegal immigrants in our prisons. Now, let me talk about the differences between Steve Poizner and me. Steve Poizner is absolutely right when he says that we are two very different candidates. Steve's not the fiscal conservative he claims to be. He joined Nancy Pelosi in opposing President Bush's cuts in income and capital gains taxes. As you know, these tax cuts were backed by every Republican member of Congress from California. It's clear that Steve doesn't like to talk about property taxes. And there's a reason for that. He gave $200,000 to pass an initiative that seriously undermined Prop 13 and has cost Californians $40 billion in new taxes. Steve also gave $21,000 to help Al Gore to beat President Bush in 2000, including $10,000 to the Gore-Lieberman recount subcommittee. And he even invited Richard Clarke, a vocal critic of the Iraq War, to campaign for him in 2004. If you will recall, Richard Clarke wrote a book claiming that President Bush was responsible for the terrorist attacks of September 11th. Wow. Steve has become a creature of Sacramento. In the middle of the budget crisis, he increased his own department's budget by 14%. From $190 million to $216 million. And he went out and spent nearly $2 million on government cars, including 6 Chevy Impalas with a street package option. Steve has changed his position on nearly every important issue he's running on today. Let's take abortion. Steve is trying to convince you he's pro-life. But when Steve ran for the Assembly in 2004, he sought and won the endorsement of Planned Parenthood, which awarded him a 100% rating on abortion rights. In order to win that 100% rating, Steve supported government funding of abortion services. He opposed measures that required parental notification before an abortion, and he said he would fight new efforts to restrict certain types of abortion procedures. My position on this issue are clear and consistent. I am firmly pro-choice and always will be. But I do support parental notification, and I oppose partial birth abortion, and I am a strong supporter of adoption. The difference between Steve and me is day and night. I have the courage to state my positions. You will always know what I believe. Steve twists his positions to tell you what he thinks you want to hear. California, in my view, needs a governor with a spine of steel. We don't need a weather vane to read the winds of Sacramento. Now, let's talk about the person we have to beat in the fall. As I said at the beginning, failure seems to follow Jerry Brown wherever he goes. During his last term as governor, the unemployment rate in California nearly doubled to a then record high of 11%. He also vigorously defended regulations, including AB 32, which will be a job killer. As mayor of Oakland, he left the schools in crisis. The situation was so bad that the state had to step in and take them over. Jerry raised taxes or tried to raise taxes on everything from gas to cable TV to phone calls. He even went after parking and utilities for more taxes. Jerry has taken the liberal form of raising taxes to a whole new level. My experience running businesses and creating jobs stands in stark contrast to Jerry Brown's 40-year record of failure. That's why the labor unions and Democrats have committed to spending $40 million attacking me. I've been criticized by Steve, the Democrats, and the media for investing money in my campaign. But I'm committed to dedicating the resources it takes to get my message out in this expensive state. For the first time, the Republican at the top of the ticket is going to have the money and grassroots organization to fight for votes in every corner of this state. And that's why I donated $250,000 to the state party to boost voter registration. I am committed to raising money for the Republican Party and electing more Republicans to legislative and constitutional officers. And I am thrilled that Tony Strickland has agreed to run for controller. Just wait until we take on Sacramento together. We're not going to let the media define the debate. We're going to go head-to-head with Jerry Brown and his $40 million of union money, and we're going to beat him. I know that we differ on some issues, but I respect where you are coming from. I am standing on my principles, and I'm going to run a campaign that will make conservatives proud. More importantly, I'm going to govern in a way that will make conservatives proud, and I will always have an open door for each and every one of you. I promise you that I will stand up for lower taxes and our fiscal conservative values. No one is going to fight harder to cut wasteful spending and reform government than I am. This is an important campaign for California's future. It's one we have to win. Ronald Reagan once said that America is too great for small dreams. The same is true for our Golden State. But to restore the promise of our state, the conservative coalition must work together to stop Jerry Brown from failing California yet again. So thank you for inviting me to speak with you today, and thank you for everything you do for our party every single day. It's a great pleasure to be here.